I want to get in there and actually really throw a fucking grenade in the toilet. Like, I want change. I want this government to stop operating in the best interest of a foreign nation. I want this government to focus on the United States. Like, I want an actual America first. I want all the things that Trump promised us and then just completely fucking rug pulled and lied to us about.
The Washington uniparty and the corporate media just had their worst nightmare flash right before their eyes. Dan Bilzerian went on live tape and completely threw a grenade into the entire political system, exposing the fake patriots, the foreign aid racketeers, and the dual loyalty parasites who are actively draining this country dry. We are looking at a total declaration of war against the corrupt political class, from dismantling federal agencies to prosecuting lying politicians for literal treason. I'm breaking down the exact moment the establishment's matrix completely shattered. Welcome back to Floor Leader Insider. Smash that subscribe button right now because the gatekeepers are desperate to memory hole this footage.
How much of this, how much of what your campaign is going to do, how much of it is it about breaking down those walls and getting some logical consistency so that people can see the whole spectrum of conversation and not just the limited spectrum they want us to see?
I mean, that's a part of it, but I want to get in there and shake the motherfucking tree. I want to dismantle the Fed. I want to get rid of the IRS. I want to get rid of the ATF. Like, I want to shrink government. I want to prosecute anybody for treason that has that's serving in office that has more allegiance to a foreign country than the U.S. Like, I want to really enact change. I don't want to just like say this stupid bullshit talking points that the Republicans say on their side and the left reads all their little fucking bullshit and then nothing ever changes. Nothing ever happens. Like, I want to get in there and actually really throw a fucking grenade in the toilet. Like, I want change. I want this government to stop operating in the best interest of a foreign nation. I want this government to focus on the United States. Like, I want an actual America first. I want all the things that Trump promised us and then just completely fucking rug pulled and lied to us about. That's what I want. And I also want to enact laws to where if you say that you're going to do something when you get in office and you just fucking lie to everybody and then do the opposite, I think you should be prosecuted for that. And I think you should be impeached for that. I think that there should be actual culpability with what you say. Like, I think if you're going to make a promise, you're going to run on something and you don't do it, you should be fucking held accountable for that. And I just think that's what this country is lacking, is accountability.
Well, that is a message that is going to be very popular. That's a message that's going to resonate with a bunch of people. And that's why the only angle they're going to have against you is this claim of anti-Semite.
It's all bullshit, man. It's all bullshit. He's Jew first, Israel second, and America fucking last. And it's not going to change. And most of these Jews are like that. You know, you look at all the top neocons, it's like 90-something% of all the neocons are all fucking Jewish. All the people that are pushing us to go into these foreign wars are disproportionately Jewish. Yet the people enlisting in our actual military, they're massively underrepresented. So they want to push, you know, American Christians to go fucking die in foreign wars to benefit Israel. But in the meantime, they're not putting any boots on the ground from Israel, and they're not joining our fucking military either. Did you know the top 5 countries that we fund, Israel's number 1? And did you know out of all 5 of those, 4 of them have sent us troops to help, you know, assist in war efforts? The only one that hasn't is fucking Israel. So how is it that the country that we've given the most aid has given us the least amount of support? How does that make sense?
You know, the only sense I could even begin to fathom is, one, the reason why our politics get slanted to such a degree is blackmail, right? I mean, there's just blackmail, whether it's Epstein stuff or whether it's financial stuff. But then 2, and I know you're familiar with this. You're a military guy. You understand military tactics. The Israeli military operates totally differently than any other military on earth. And they love to make this claim about they're the most moral. That's extremely debatable, if not outright ridiculous. But as you know, what the Israeli military does differently, and this is why I don't think they join the U.S. military, the American Jews would rather serve in the IDF than they would the American military. That's because what the IDF does is they go and just bomb everything. The first thing they do is a military demolition. We saw it in Gaza. We're seeing it in Lebanon. So they just annihilate everything before they send any boots on the ground. And I guess you could make the argument it's the lowest chance of having any casualties in your military, and I guess maybe that's their argument here. But that's what they do. They don't put their people in harm's way. They're not going boots on the ground. They're not looking for the bad guys and risking their lives. They're going to, here's an apartment building. There's one guy in it. There might be 100 other people. Just bring down the whole building. Screw them.
They don't give a shit if there's one guy in there or not. They want to destroy all of Gaza. They have done it. They've destroyed every single working hospital. They've bombed every church. They've bombed like 90-something% of all the schools. You know, this is not a humanitarian effort. They've used human shields, literally strapped Palestinians to the front of their fucking tanks, sent them in when they're clearing buildings, pushed them through the fucking door. They've used human shields by every definition of the word. And in fact, if you look at Haaretz, I mean, they've done multiple articles of this. So they don't even deny it. I would say that they are one of the least moral armies. They have targeted children. I mean, how many doctors have come forward and said that, all these children have been sniped in the head, I was in the military. Like I went through, a bunch of fucking SEAL training. We shot a bunch of guns. Like I went through some sniper training, and there's no version of you looking through a high power scope and not being able to tell whether or not you're shooting a fucking child. Like you don't take a shot until you are 100% sure of what you are shooting and what is behind the shot that you're taking. So this idea that a sniper could accidentally shoot a child is just complete fucking nonsense. Like these guys are looking through 30 power optics. Like they're seeing the fucking, the amount of hairs on that person's face. So when a sniper deliberately shoots a child in the head or in the heart over and over and over and over again, and you've got doctors testifying to this, I think you have a real problem, and I think the problem comes in that they think that they're better than everybody else. They've got a religion of supremacy. And they're trying to remove all the, legitimate Palestinians from that land. They want a greater Israel. They're not, being too shy about it. They've invaded Lebanon. They're trying to take fucking land. These are war crimes. You're not allowed to forcefully take land. We established that, and they don't give a shit. They don't want peace. They just want to take more land, and they're using us as a pawn to accomplish their objectives. And I think everybody's kind of like, getting wise to this.
Yeah, not just getting wise to it, but getting very upset about it, to say the least. And I guess if you were going to want to harvest some organs, the headshot would be the way, Dan.
Well, I mean, they've talked about, they have, like the largest skin bank, it's like they talk about, they've, harvested tons of Palestinian organs, their skin, the whole thing, Israelis don't do that. So, yeah, I mean, their whole society is a problem. It's sick. I mean, you see what they're doing on the, West Bank, and none of that can be attributed to Hamas. There's no Hamas in the West Bank. Now it's come out that Israel has, been the one funding Hamas. They created it. So it's like, everything they said was bullshit. They allowed October 7th to happen so they could point to that. They killed their own citizens during October 7th to make the numbers higher, and, yeah, it's a very sick society. And I think
the hurdle. Here's the hurdle, Dan, and I know you know this, but so people understand if they're hearing this and they're just like floored by it. The hurdle is none of this gets covered in Western media. That's the problem. Many of the things that you've claimed here have been testified by the IDF in front of the Knesset. Many IDF members have come forward and said the exact same things that you've said, and this does get covered in Israeli media. They've got a dual type of media, just like we do with the left-right paradigm. They've got people against Netanyahu, pro-Netanyahu. None of this makes it to our country, Dan. That's the problem.
It's starting to on Twitter. You got members of the IDF, coming on record saying that, their commander saw a 4-year-old child playing in the backyard. He went over there, broke his arm, broke his leg, and then stomped him to death in front of the entire unit. And he told them that, you have to kill them young so they don't become terrorists. I mean, like, this was testified by an IDF soldier. This is in their publication. This is like their newspaper putting this story out. So it's not like somebody doing a hit job on them. They're reporting from within. And, that kind of goes to my point of like, not every Jew is bad. Like there's clearly, Jews in Israel that are against this and that are actively exposing it. But the problem is the majority of that society is in favor of this. I mean, they set up, they set up observation nests for them to watch the bombing of Gaza. It's like predominantly like a very sick society, and they've been operating
like cruises. They do like cruises where they go by and they're like, ooh, ah.
Yeah, that too. And then, now they're getting a front row seat to it, thankfully. Wow. Compliments of Iran. So, it's, I think, and the funny thing is listening to them, kvetch on fucking Twitter about like, oh, this is our life. And, we've got, this is how we're in a bomb shelter. It's like, These other countries don't have bomb shelters. Lebanon doesn't have bomb shelters. When you're blowing up fucking children over there on the daily, like those people don't even get to hide in bomb shelters. And they actually expect us to feel bad for them. Meanwhile, the whole world is fucking cheering this on. They're just so tone deaf, and they're so used to everybody thinking that they're the victim. And I think it's like a part of their culture too, of just like this, like constantly, complaining and acting like a victim and begging for sympathy.
Mind control is what it is. It's what they do to Black Americans with all the slave stuff in history, the brutal presentation of slavery in the media, in the movies. That's all to create this victim, this trauma-based mind control on Black Americans. They do the same thing to Jews with the Holocaust. It's all trauma-based mind control in order to try to control people like that. And that's what they're doing. And I think to get a little more into the psychological aspect of this, to me, it's like watching the guy that's never been in a fight before. And I guess if you have this, technological superiority over your enemies where you don't even have to get in a fight with them, right? And you just fly a plane over them and just, bomb them all. You never have to get in a fight. And then it's like when they actually get punched in the mouth, they're like, oh, you punched me. It's like you started a fight. I mean, it's almost like they have this concept that, hey, I'm allowed to start a fight and not take any blows. And maybe that's been the case with their military. But I mean, that's what it's like. It's like I've seen guys like this. It's like, I'm not some tough guy, but it's like we've all probably seen the guy who loves to start a fight but doesn't like to get punched. It's kind of like that's what this is like. It's like I'm going to start a fight with everybody, but I'm not. Don't punch me though. Hey.
Yeah, or like that Jack Dorsey, where he starts a bunch of fights and then he has his security guard come in and fucking protect him. That's what they remind me of. And it's so funny. Like they literally attacked Iran unprovoked and then whined when Iran retaliated. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. It's all so obvious. It's all so insufferable. And I just feel like everybody's talking about it. Everybody knows what's going on and nobody's fucking doing anything, and I've talked to these other people, like I talked to Candace, I talked to Fuentes, I talked to all these other people. I'm like, why don't you guys run? It's like this whole thing is like all talked out. I don't want to fucking talk about this anymore. Everybody knows what's going on. Like now let's actually fucking do something about it. And it doesn't seem like anybody wants to actually do anything. And I don't know, it's weird for me. Like I haven't been into politics my whole life. I mean, this has been a more recent thing. And it's crazy. The more I uncover, the more I realize like how fucked up it is and how, deep the rabbit hole goes. And I guess for me, what's shocking is that there's other people that know a ton about this and they're just not doing anything. Like, even if you don't win, so fucking what?
I feel like we kind of had to cultivate this environment where you could run and maybe get a chance at winning instead of just running into a wall. I think we might be there. I think we might be getting closer to that environment. And who knows, maybe Dan Bilzerian breaks the wall down and there's the floodgates coming in 2028. I think it's inevitable on the left. We'll see what happens on the right. Your race, Fishback. There's going to be some ones to watch. So there's going to be races to keep the eye on. But speaking of your race, I know we're really early in the process, and I appreciate you coming on today because I don't know where you're at as far as the campaign infrastructure is concerned. I know you've got it built. But where can people go to support your campaign, follow your campaign, if they want to help you out here to get, quote unquote, fat Jew? I'm just quoting Harvey Levin here. If they want to get him 4 times, he said it. If they want to get Harvey Levin's favorite fat Jew, Randy Fine, out of office and vote Bilzerian, how can they keep up with the campaign, Dan?
Okay. I'm going to it right now. It is bilzerianforcongress.com.
So we are up and running.
Yeah, hopefully it works. They gave us a lot of shit with the payment processor. I'm self-funding some of this. I really do think that, unfortunately, this campaign is going to be won or lost based on how much we can raise nationally for this issue, because the voter base is like the primary Republican voter base is like 70% 55 and older. So I think we're going to have to actually knock on their door and show up and explain this to them, because they're not on social media. They're not educated on the issues, and they've been plugged into Fox. So I think this is going to have to require like a real grassroots movement. I think this is like a very, very important race, not just for like the unseating of Fine or, me going in there and shaking the fucking tree. But I think this is a very important race because I think it'll show people that it's possible to win as non-traditional candidate. People are ready for this message because my message is pretty fucking aggressive. And I'm not going to tone it down. And, if I'm doing this for the people, right? Like, I don't want to be in Congress. I don't want to fucking, move to Florida and wear a suit and do all this shit. But like, I feel like I have to. I feel like if I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. And we need people in office that actually give a shit about our country and are not bribable, not corruptible, and, are willing to die on this fucking hill, to be honest. Because, when I started talking about this shit was, 2.5 years ago, this was like a death sentence. They were fucking ruining people, killing people, whatever, for saying this. And I think because we kicked the fucking door in so hard, I think now other people are feeling more comfortable talking about this. Because you got to understand, when I did Peers, I did that like over 2 years ago. They waited a while to air that episode. But what I couldn't believe was how positive the comments were back then. Because back then I was like, fuck, man, this is unwinnable. Like, I don't think people understand. I don't think enough people are aware for us to have a chance. That was my feeling back then. Now I'm like, holy fuck, everybody knows, but we can't do anything. And so that's why I feel like I honestly feel like we have a short leash. Like, we have a very short timeline for this. I think if we don't take control of our government in the next 2 years, I really think we're fucked. Like, and I'm not just saying that. Like, I really think we're fucked. Like, I think Palantir is, fully in place. I think they're monitoring everything. I think that they stop any kind of resistance before it even is considered. I think anybody that could be a potential leader, they squish, smear, whatever. I'm waiting for the fucking smear campaign to come out against me. Who knows? It's bound to happen, right? And you've seen it historically. So I think that, this is very important to do, because I think by 2028, if we don't get somebody in office, and I mean not just like some congressmen and senators, I mean we need a president that's going to really change things. I think it'll be too late. That's my honest opinion.
Let that sink in for a second, because what we just witnessed is the most unfiltered, high-velocity takedown of the political establishment to ever drop on the internet. The swamp operates on a very specific script. They expect politicians to get on camera, look pretty in a suit, read their corporate-approved talking points, and pretend the left-right paradigm is real while they vote unanimously to send hundreds of billions of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars to foreign nations. But what happens when someone who cannot be bought, cannot be bribed, and cannot be canceled steps into the arena and names the system explicitly? The entire illusion completely falls apart. Let's look directly at the raw facts of what was just laid down, because this is the blueprint for an actual America First movement. First, the foreign policy indictment. For decades, regular, working-class Americans have been told that we have an endless moral obligation to fund global conflicts, secure foreign borders, and bankroll the military-industrial complex while our own cities rot, our infrastructure crumbles, and our economy suffocates under massive inflation. Bilzerian didn't just criticize this, he called it exactly what it is: a total betrayal of public trust. You cannot claim to represent the American people when your primary allegiance belongs to a foreign nation or a DC lobbying firm. Forcing dual citizenship disclosures and treating foreign-first policy voting as literal treason isn't just radical, it is basic accountability. If you bleed for another flag before the American flag, you have absolutely no business sitting in the United States Congress, period. But it didn't stop at foreign intervention. The domestic platform laid out here is a total scorched earth campaign against the deep state. The corporate media wants you to believe the problem is just a few bad actors. But the reality is the foundational institutions themselves are completely corrupt. The call to systematically dismantle the Federal Reserve, the IRS, and the ATF hits right at the root of how the federal government weaponizes itself against regular citizens. And let's talk about the absolute gold standard proposal: prosecuting lying politicians. Think about how terrified the DC uniparty is of that single concept. Imagine a world where if a politician gets on a stage, look you in the eye, promises you the world to win your vote, and then immediately rug pulls you to serve corporate donors, they get impeached and thrown in a federal prison for fraud. That single law would completely empty out the halls of Congress overnight. And that brings us to the real-world battleground happening right now in Florida against establishment incumbent Randy Fine. Fine represents the absolute worst of the standard political archetype, using performative, divisive rhetoric to mask a globalist, anti-populist voting record. He thinks he's safe because he's backed by legacy media and big money donors. And let's be entirely honest about the challenge ahead. The corporate machine relies heavily on older, boomer generation voters who are still plugged directly into the Fox News propaganda matrix and completely cut off from the raw truth on social media. To beat a rigged system like that, you can't play by the old rules. It is going to take an unprecedented, aggressive, nationwide grassroots movement to physically knock on those doors, bypass the corporate gatekeepers, and shake the tree. Look at the timeline that was laid out, because this is the ultimate wake-up call for every single patriot watching this channel. We are on an incredibly short leash. We have a strict 2-year window right now leading into 2028 to take back control of our government, disrupt the uniparty machine, and install unbribable leaders. If we stay lazy, if the youth vote stays glued to their phones instead of mobilizing at the ballot box, the corporate surveillance apparatus and establishment gatekeepers will lock down the matrix permanently. This isn't just an election cycle anymore. It is an existential battle for the survival of the republic. The establishment is terrified because they know their script doesn't work when regular adults start demanding universal logic and actual accountability. The door has been kicked wide open and there is no turning back. I want to hear from the real America on this one. Is it time to officially treat dual loyalty politics as treason, and are you ready to see federal agencies like the Fed and the IRS completely dismantled? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. I am going to be down there in the trenches reading and responding to you guys. Make sure to smash the like button, share this video everywhere before the algorithms suppress it, and subscribe to Floor Leader Insider so we can keep bringing you the raw, unfiltered truth they are desperate to hide. Stay vigilant, keep your skin thick, and I'll see you in the next one.